Hello, my name is Exibo, and this is Unity of Command 2 Barbarossa DLC München Mission on Hard. 3, 2, 1. Alright, and here we have the second mission in the first mission in the second conference in the south, and I found München, or kind of this Moldavia scenario, to be too difficult, but it has a few sticking points, and as you can see, you don't get effectively hardly any tank units or motorized infantry units. Yes, you have, but remember that you actually have the Romanian tank division, which is obviously it's not as strong as some of the German tank divisions there, but it's still great. And I think at this point here, in this case, yeah, look at this. It might not have the attacking ability of a full proper German division, even though it has actually German armor steps if you reinforce it, but it has the mobility, and like the firepower doesn't matter that much if you look at Blitzkrieg and if you look how it has to be done. Yeah, infantry always does the dirty work, the tanks just ride about and, well, cover everything and deny supply and everything. That's what you should do, and that's what the Romanian tank division is perfect at doing. All right, so, oh, by the way, one of the things about Chernowtsi, don't worry about all these units. As you can see, I'm moving all those units away, so you might actually need those infantry divisions somewhere else, and you really don't need too many of them around Chernowtsi, because it's enough to have that German infantry division and one Romanian division, because you get one reasonably strong one. There, actually, you'll sustain some damage, but it's not a big deal, and you'll kick that tank out. It's a weak unit, even though it's entrenched. And by the way, one of the important bits in succeeding in this mission and in winning in the south is getting breaking that and blocking that railway line, because it essentially cuts all of the supply to the south of the map for the Soviets. And you really need to do that and keep doing that. Sometimes, yeah, the Soviets will try to counterattack that. Your counterattack and attack your cavalry units and try to dislodge that that block, that bottleneck, whatever you call it, so that bridge. Another tactic that the Soviets might employ is setting up a supply hub on the dirt road next to the railway. As you can see that, well, you can't see it right now, but we'll probably get to it. So, by the way, Chernowtsi, next turn is going to be mine. And as you can see, by the way, Tomogilov is empty. So, if you see any enemies there when you play this mission, it's almost always that infantry with the AT gun step going back to Tomogilov. It's pretty much kind of almost scripted there. I don't know if it's really scripted, but you can actually, if you use your tanks cleverly, if you move about, you can prevent that infantry from getting into Mogilov and let you get Mogilov and turn to like way early. Right, so I'm back to the southern parts of the mission. So the Soviets like to drop a supply hub on that across that bridge, as you can see, the bridge to the east of the railway. And actually, generally, it's a mistake, because you can easily move in with your cavalry and take that supply and prevent them from doing that. Sometimes I've found that the AI is not perfect at judging those locations. If the front line isn't tight and you have many gaps, it's not very good at finding a place for a supply hub and then protecting it. So this mission is a very good illustration of that. And in the south, I've seen missions where I've had tries where I just ran about my cavalry, did not have to worry about the supply because the Soviets kept giving me their supply hubs, and yeah, it's kind of worked really well, and I really that objective at the far Kitakia Alba. Sorry about the pronunciation. Actually, forgotten the pronunciation. Actually, checked it for my cracking video. But I actually took it way early, like turn 5 out of 10. I think 10 was the deadline, but you can get it very early. And I think in this playthrough, I let the Soviets get to it, and I had to kick them out. But as you can see, so they're running out of supply, and it's like they're virtually dead already. They can't attack. They're not going to be able to attack next turn, so none of them will be. Well, maybe except for that tank division. And speaking of tank divisions, yes, this one has left Chernowtsi, and it's dead. And at this point, yes, just to make it easier for me, I will like capture that last hex of that railway line feeding Cherneltsi, but otherwise, yeah, your job here is done. You really don't need too much supply. Don't waste your trucks on supplying this area. It's reasonably well supplied, and yeah, get those supply, get that supply hub away from that area as soon as Cherneltsi is yours, because that's the Soviet divisions guarding it. I mean, like blocking that railway will fall pretty quickly as well. And here's me just clearing the railway next to Galatsi, and yeah, just to make it easier for me. It's really not that necessary, but as you will see, succeeding in the south to move into Chisinau and, well, like kind of apply pressure to the Soviets from there is, I think, is reason. It's not decisive. It's not important. If you don't know, Tiraspol is the most difficult objective here, and it's very likely that you are going to take everything on your first try. I did on Classic, right? And yeah, you just do everything on your first try and fail at Tiraspol, which is a very difficult objective. The scenario designers actually are rather cheeky, because they blocked your map, your access to the map, so you can't cross the river elsewhere. So you have to cross it next to Tiraspol. I know, I don't know, but I'm like 98% convinced that it's very deliberate, and you just know, just to make your life harder. And that's the big problem. Right now, I'm in an excellent position. As you can see, Kitake Alba is going to be mine very soon. It's not defended at all. I just need to rush my cavalry there, and it's mine, and I don't have to hold it, as far as I remember. So Chisinau is going to be mine, because I've got plenty of troops next to it, and yeah, and the Soviet tank division is out of supply and is going to die soon. But Tiraspol is well supplied. You can't block its supply very early. My best, and I think I'll manage it in this try, my best is always 10-7. So earlier, I don't think it's possible, or hardly possible. You may like guess a fluke and get super lucky. Maybe. Obviously, purely geometrically, and Chisinau is mine, by the way. Geometrically, obviously, it's possible, but no, it's not gonna happen. So turn 7 is realistic, so you should expect, and since you have to take Tiraspol on turn 8, you should expect to have 2 turns tops to actually take it. And as you can see, the Soviets hold up in there. They're not hugely experienced, but they've got 2 levels of fortifications and in an artillery step, which is never good, right, if you're trying to attack a unit like that. So, as you can see, I'm clearing up Felcho crossing, and actually one of the commenters for my cracking video actually mentioned that you can actually set up an elite unit, an elite infantry unit with an AT step, with an 88mm AA gun, actually to kill Soviet tanks, and they actually saw the AI actually throwing their tanks and cavalry divisions at that unit, defending that crossing, and just losing and not forcing the infantry to retreat. And I actually haven't seen it. It's a bit dangerous. It's fun, I know, but it's a bit dangerous because there is always the risk of retreat and you losing that objective, and you really don't want that because you really have to hold it. And so at this point, all of the objectives are mine, except for Tiraspol, and at this point, I'm going to try to, well, cross that river, because it's not that easy to set up a bridge, and I actually don't remember if the HQ you get, the 11th Army, even has the build pontoon bridge ability, but really, you don't have the time. You don't have the time to set it up. So I'm consolidating my forces. I expecting huge losses. Remember that hard means, oh, you can actually build those bridges, but it's already turn 6. It's not going to help me too much, right? And so, as you can see, so I'm trying to concentrate my forces, and remember that on hard difficulty, it's always the Soviets get a significant bonus to their to battle, right? So it's even more difficult. And at this point, I'm trying to use my my command points on feint attacks and using my air attacks. So remember always that even if the unit is the unit is in supply, it only gets repairs 2 points of suppression, right? So if you deal like 3 points of suppression in a turn, even if they're supplied, they're gonna lose, well, they're gonna stay with some suppressed steps, right? So that's the tactic, and that's what you should go for, right? So there's obviously with the feint attacks, there's always a chance, I think it was 10% or 20%, I don't remember, but they're not very high, but there was always a chance of getting actually 2 suppression. And here's me, actually, I'm not entirely sure if it's the correct course of action here. I was hoping to get, like, there was always a chance of getting, like, destroying them, destroying their fortifications, even if you don't suppress the enemy, but yeah, it just didn't happen. I should have used my feint attacks. I think it's a better situation. In many cases, it's always like if you manage to reach an objective, well-fortified objective, early before your deadline, use your feint attacks. Obviously, you need command points for that, but feint attacks quite often allow you to do it. But in this case, I got lucky. Now, I forced these guys to get cornered, and they're pretty much dead. And this is it. So Tiraspol is mine. This is the most difficult objective, so I hope. So my approach to it and some of the mistakes I made there, despite succeeding ultimately, actually might be helpful for you. And I'm guessing this is it for today, and see you in tomorrow's video. Cheers.